G'day and welcome to Pellowe Talk. I'm Dave Pellowe, and today I want to introduce you to Paul O'Rourke, the CEO of Emily's Voice. Now, Emily's Voice is an organisation that was named to represent the unknown child that's lost to abortion in Australia. And she was just given a name Emily because it could be anybody's child and any person. But what I love about Emily's Voice is that the organisation exists not to lobby government or to do any kind of heated conversation and debate, but simply to create positive, hopeful, beautiful media and messages to help humanise unborn children. And that's exactly the kind of strategy that was employed by Christians at the turn of the 19th century, in the early 1800s, when they needed to overcome the injustice of treating African slaves like subhumans. They just needed to tell the picture and show the population that these are people too. These are living humans, innocent and deserving of all the same human rights that you and I are. So joining me in this episode, this special episode of Pellowe Talk, is Paul O'Rourke. Welcome to Pellowe Talk, Paul.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
Now, tell me more about Emily's Voice. Tell us, I guess, when it started, how it started, and where you've been all this time, because not enough Australians have heard about Emily's Voice yet.
We started back in 2007, 6 people, 3 couples sitting around a dinner table talking about, of all things, abortion and lamenting, at the time, something like 80,000 each year in our country, and wanting to do something about it, and realising that politics had not served us well, or served them well, that the laws were actually becoming far more lenient in terms of abortion, and they started to think about, well, how do you turn back the tide? And they discovered or thought that the best way to do that would be through culture change, and to use the medium of the day, which is advertising, and to use the channels of the day, which includes, podcasts and all forms of social media, as well as your kind of typical or traditional media sense, outdoor and radio and television, etc. And so they started making ads, tested them in Toowoomba, found that they worked really well. And then over the past decade, we've been rolling them out in more and more places to give a voice to the unborn.
So whereabouts have they been showing? I'm aware that TV space in commercial regions is a whole lot cheaper than in capital cities. So whereabouts have they been displayed for some time now?
Well, when we start in a new area, we continue. So we build on that momentum. So after Toowoomba, we went to Tasmania. So we cover all of Tasmania with campaigns each year, all of WA, and then regional New South Wales, so where I'm from here in the Hunter Valley and the Central Coast, and then in Queensland and the Sunshine Coast and Wide Bay, Burnett, Bundaberg regions.
Okay. And where are you expanding into next or now?
We're going to continue to move throughout the rest of Queensland, move basically down the coast and obviously end up with southeast Queensland, so Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
Okay. Now, you obviously rely on a lot of funds, donations. What are your sources of income?
Well, I guess like most charities, we hope that people will support us on a monthly basis. And so that makes up about 1/3 of our income, 1/3 through one-off donations of various sources, and then about 1/3 through fundraising dinners that we do in each area where we advertise.
Brilliant. So obviously what people need to do is head to emilysvoice.com and have a look there. First of all, before you even think about donating, have a look at the quality of work being done. I don't advocate giving to every good cause, because most causes are good. However, have a look at the quality of work there and see if that's the kind of field you'd like to sow into. Have a look at the quality of commercials that are going out across TV. I think they're excellent, but let the work speak for itself, and then, pray about and consider becoming a regular monthly partner of Emily's Voice, because to give these children a voice is beautiful. Now, I'm actually moved by some of the testimonies on those videos of women, and this is where the rubber hits the road. This is what pro-abortion activists are willfully ignorant to. Their prejudice blinds them to the reality of the callousness of their action and their philosophy. And that is, there are many, many, many women. And if we're going to be pro-women, let's hear what women have to say for themselves. Because there's many women who are saying that, thank God for Emily's Voice, thank God for these ads, because right when I needed help, they were there with information to empower me to make a good choice. What kind of impacts and results do you see, Paul, in the areas where you've been advertising for a while? Do you see any real impact measurable on abortion rates in those areas?
Yeah, we have in the 3 areas that we've tested. So the Darling Downs, Tasmania and the Hunter Valley, we've seen significant changes in attitudes, particularly in that 16 to 24 year age group. So
Brilliant.
in the Darling Downs, it was 7%. Oh, sorry, no, it was 22% of 16 to 24-year-olds said they changed their views on abortion as a direct result of the ads. 25% in Tasmania. There's only a couple of percent in the Hunter Valley, but what was really interesting is that the number of people, or the percentage of people who said that they were uncertain, rose by about 15%.
Interesting.
So far more people are now saying, "Oh, I'm not sure about this."
Now, I was really disappointed in the Liberal Party Minister for Transport in New South Wales, because he described one of your ads as appalling. And the content of that ad was entirely unremarkable. It was a beautiful picture of hands in a typical cliche love shape, love heart shape, over a pregnant belly. And I mean, there's nothing gruesome or insensitive about that photo. It's basically talking about love for pregnancy and the child therein. And then the, again, unremarkable scientific fact that a heart beats at 4 weeks. Now, I've recently written an article about the overwhelming majority of scientists agreeing on the beginning of human life, and that is at the point of fertilization. Thousands and thousands. There's no dispute at all.
There's no dispute about it.
It's just common sense. But Andrew Constance, the Minister for Transport, allegedly on right of centre in a right of centre government in New South Wales, just returned with an overwhelming majority and no election looming, reacted reflexively with a knee-jerk reaction when he got one complaint on a Facebook page about this ad on a bus. Now, all you're doing is empowering women to make positive health choices with knowledge about what's actually going on. And he called this ad appalling and demanded it be pulled off buses. Isn't that just incredibly disappointing?
Yeah, it sure is, particularly when it just takes a comment on his Facebook page to send him into this decreeing that the ad has to go because it's, as you say, appalling. So yeah, we were disappointed, particularly when we know that it's a government bus. We went to great care with Go Transit, who sells advertising on behalf of government buses. You know, ran the creative by them. They were very happy with it. They agreed with us that it was very sensitive, very tasteful, and on that basis agreed to take the ad. And so for the minister to just veto that based on a complaint, yeah, it is incredibly disappointing, particularly when you see some of the other billboard advertisements, some of the other bus ads.
Well, wicked campers have free rein to put horrible things on vehicles in New South Wales. Does Andrew Constance find them appalling and demand their removal?
Well, apparently not, because he has said nothing about it. But he's having an investigation into how our ad made it onto one of his government buses. So
wow.
So it just shows where we are as a culture, and it's this mindset that we're trying to change. Something, as you say, very innocuous. I mean, we've had people complain to us nicely. oh, your ads are just too subtle. You need to really be much more pointed.
And look, I disagree.
So
I think
weak.
I clearly, but I'm objective. um, I, in my role, feel the need to be speak plain truth as a commentator. But in your role, where you're trying to, I guess, help Australia, in your words, this is the words of Emily's Voice website, help Australia fall in love with the unborn child. That's exactly the right way to go about it. It's not to shock, but it's actually to paint the picture of their humanity and their beauty and the basic facts of science and biology, in the theory that information is power. What I'm worried about is this week's news. Again, the same ad was put on a billboard by the Pacific Highway in Lake Macquarie. And one particular girl by the name of Shani Cross is probably a Freudian slip, but she got quite cross. And in fact, the words she used was outraged. She thought it was outrageous that in 2019, you can tell women what to do with their bodies. We'll deal with the logic of that argument in a second. But she complained to the mayor, and eventually the media picked it up, and it got back to the owners of the billboard. And the owners of the billboard have moved with remarkable haste, and in less than 24 hours pulled your advertisement that you paid for and got approved through all the right channels, pulled it down completely. What I'm worried about, Paul, is that it seems like the noisy minority, the confected, outraged, professional victim crowd are holding public debate in Australia hostage, and cowardly corporations like oOh Media are capitulating to them without any fight, without any discussion, and letting irrational people dictate the scope of public conversation in Australia. I want you to tell me what you said, tell the viewers what you said in the press release, and tell me what oOh Media's response has been in this conversation about how they've effectively censored Emily's Voice, and the implications that has on them, on your advertising, and on the fabric of Australian society altogether.
Yeah, probably the missing bit to the story is oOh Media obviously didn't like the publicity that was being generated from that young girl's petition, and then unilaterally decided to pull the billboard. They let us know through, they'd already made that decision, and I believe they'd actually already gone to the media before they told us, through their affiliate, Bishop Advertising, based in Queensland. Bishop couldn't tell us exactly why, just that they were pulling the ad. So I had to go to the media story to see the reason. And what's really concerning is that they said that the ad did meet their criteria, their guidelines, when it was put up. But upon the complaints, they decided to review, and then decided that the ad was unsuitable because a significant section of the community could be, being the operative words, offended by the image and words, which, you said in your intro that it's a woman with her hand making a heart over her pregnant belly, and the words are heartbeats at 4 weeks. So what we can't for the life of us figure out what part of that image or words are offensive. Like what is actually offensive about a proven scientific fact?
Yeah. I mentioned to you when I called and asked for your time in this interview that the article I wrote yesterday about this girl's petition had a different heading. I decided to be more subtle with the heading I chose. But the heading I'm going to speak plainly now. If you're easily offended, now's a good point for you to turn off, but you probably shouldn't be listening to my channel ever if you're easily offended. The article I wrote yesterday, and the heading I was going to use was slave owner objects to anti-slavery campaign. And this is the moral equivalence of what's going on here. And it is perfectly logically compatible and the same. Is we have a society that is treating a whole class of humans as less than human and attributing less than equal human rights to them, and happily arguing and advocating for the right for an individual citizen to kill another innocent living human. That is everybody's right to be outraged by. That is something to be outraged by, not a billboard that you disagree with. And that is something that we should, but we've got a society at the moment and corporations backing it up that seem to be afraid of the people arguing for the violation of human rights. Meanwhile, people who are trying to engender some compassion for those people whose rights are being violated with death, those are treated like they're the immoral ones. They're the people who are trespassing somebody. Like, women argue this. Shaney argued this line that how dare you tell a woman what to do with her body? Well, Shaney, whose body ends up in the bucket? Not a woman. Somebody with completely different DNA. It's not even a mole. It's an entirely new living human. This is basic biology, basic bioethics, basic morality. And it's just crazy that first the New South Wales Transport Minister and now this corporation decides to buckle to a couple of noisy people who whinge. And I can't, we have to do more to change the culture so that these people aren't afraid, ministers and corporations aren't afraid of whingers like this. Come on, she's a whinger, nothing more.
A lot of our ads, I'm talking now the TV ads, generally deal with people telling their personal stories about an unplanned pregnancy or having had an abortion and the regret that they feel. And so that's been our major way of trying to change culture, is to actually tell the real stories of women for whom abortion wasn't liberating. It wasn't a great thing. It was often done under pressure from others at a time when they were vulnerable without all the information to make an informed. They felt pressured to choose one option that was shouted at them by culture, by their doctor,
That's right,
by their girlfriends, by their mum. Sometimes, as we know, high-profile women pressured by high-profile boyfriends.
Yeah.
In one case, a woman, Miss paid $50,000. So we are trying to be sensitive and not dumb it down to the lowest common denominator, but to just say to all women that this is disempowering, it's not empowering. You're actually being lied to, you're being taken for a ride, you're being duped. There's someone making money
right
from your supposed freedom.
Yep.
In some cases, life. A woman is changed irrevocably and a baby loses its life.
Right.
And there's such a protection around this issue
Yeah.
that to admit that some women don't cope well with this and actually regret their decision or have been forced into it against their will is just, the whole thing comes down, Dave, if they have to admit that. We've been wrong, we've been duped, but I believe that time is coming, and I believe our strategy is a good one to do that.
I agree completely. The Unplanned movie is due to be released in cinemas very, very, very soon. I expect, actually, I've got some inside words that a contract is being signed right at the moment for distribution through private cinemas. So, it could be by the time I've finished editing this video, it could be within a day or two after. But when the Unplanned movie comes out, this is another vehicle for viewers to help change the culture. For a start, go and see the movie at the cinemas, please. It's really important. Don't wait for it to come out on DVD. Don't pirate it. Don't download it. Don't stream it. Do all of those things if you want afterwards, but go and see it at the cinemas. It's really, really important that the world, the press, culture at large see the credibility of this movie doing well in the box office.
Yep,
Very,
absolutely.
very important.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, it's a true story. It's not a propaganda piece. It is intended to help change culture, but it's 100% truth about one woman's story who used to be an abortion provider and strongly pro-choice. And then the facts changed her mind. Her eyes changed her mind, and her personal experience is a story that's worth sharing. Especially, I've got a perpetual Greens candidate in my electorate who's agreed to see the movie with me because she is intellectually honest. She wants to know the truth. She's pro-choice, obviously being a Greens candidate, and she wants to hear the other side of the story. So take people. Take as many friends as you can, not necessarily to change their mind, but that's great if you can. Take your friends and see it. And let's make sure this is really, really successful. Because, and then, go to the Emily's Voice website, emilysvoice.com, and, once a week, share a new YouTube video from their channel onto your social media, Twitter and Facebook, and get these videos out there. Get these stories out there about real people with real knowledge, because this is it's not a philosophical argument. It's not a religious argument. It's just the facts. Get these real stories out there, because until we change culture, we're not going to change very much at all.
Absolutely.
Paul, thanks so much for your work in Emily's Voice, giving a voice to preborn children. And thanks for continuing to fight against another attack on freedom of speech in Australia, and for the right for women to make an informed decision.
Thanks, Dave. My great pleasure. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to share.
Always a pleasure. And if you'd like to become a partner of Pellowe Talk, head to davepellowe.com. Just a small monthly amount. We don't want to detract from what you're giving to the child that you sponsor or to your donations to Emily's Voice, and definitely not to your tithe or anything like that. Just $5 a month will make a really huge difference. If you can help do that, help me continue bringing these kind of stories to you, doing research, writing articles. Podcasts are available. So I'm on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a new great platform for social media debate called Parler, and it's spelled P-A-R-L-E-R. And that's an independent app that you can get on your devices, but it's also the commenting plug-in app at the bottom of all my articles on my website, and it all is promised to be censorship free, and we're in big favor of supporting those organizations that support our free speech. So get onto all of those things, and don't forget to subscribe to the email updates, and stay tuned, because right now I'm going to show you a very short video, one of the testimonies from emilysvoice.com.
My life before I was pregnant was messy. I was ditching school. I was living in a shelter, doing drugs. When I found out I was pregnant, I was very scared and shocked and indecisive of what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to keep this child or have an abortion or even look at adoption. I heard about Emily's Voice the first time seeing Madeline's ad on TV, which really touched me, and I'd seen it before falling pregnant and never even thought about it twice. But then finding out I was pregnant myself, it just changed everything. I think seeing someone's personal story does make a big difference, because it's more on a personal level, and it's not just some actress pretending to be something that they're not. It's deep and it's real. A few weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I was going through the mail and I opened a catalogue from Coolrong, and inside that I found a little feet pin from Emily's Voice, and it was the size of a baby's feet at 10 weeks old in the womb. And that really affected me, and it affected me because it's really confronting to see how something so small is inside of you and how that's going to change your life so dramatically if you decide to go through with it. The life I want for Oliver is to just grow up knowing that he's loved and cared for, and to be provided with the best life that I can possibly provide for him, and just for him to know love and happiness. I've gone back to school, I have a casual job, and I'm just trying to give him as much love that I can give to him every day. If I decided differently, I might be in deep regret. I'm not sure if I'd still be here or not, honestly. I'd probably be very downhill, involved in drugs still and alcohol, and I would definitely not be attending school. It took a lot of thought and processing, a lot of weighing the pros and cons, a lot of hard decisions, and trying to know that I was going to have someone 100% dependent on me, which, everyone's like, oh, it's not that hard to have a baby until you have a baby, and it changes your life for the better, but it's something that you're all in for or not at all.